Prairie Yard and Garden is a production of the University of Minnesota Morris in cooperation with Pioneer Public Television. Funding for Prairie Yard and Garden is provided in part by Heartland Motor Company, providing service for over 30 years in the heart of truck country. Heartland Motor Company, we have your best interest at heart. Farmers Mutual Telephone Company and Federated Telephone Cooperative, proud to be powering ASERA. Mark and Margaret Yakel Julien, in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. Shalom Hill Farm, shalomhill.org. Diamond Willow Advanced Care Assisted Living, providing custom homes with smaller settings designed especially for high care needs.
Several years ago, I was volunteering out at the Horticulture Display Garden at Morris. There was another couple visiting, and it didn't take long before we were talking plants. It sounded like they have a fantastic yard and invited me to come for a visit. I'm Mary Holm, host of Prairie Yard and Garden, and let's all go visit Wayne and Bonnie's Wonderland. Each year, the Douglas County Master Gardeners sponsor a tour of gardens. When I looked at this year's tour stops, there was a very familiar name listed. It was Wayne and Bonnie Johnson, the same people I met several years ago. Tom and I had a family gathering which conflicted with the tour, but I called Wayne and Bonnie, and they said all of our Prairie Yard and Garden viewers could come for a tour. So here we are. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here and welcome to our place.
Tell me, how long have you lived here in this beautiful yard in Alexandria?
My dad built this house back in 1946 off an old farm field, dug the basement with a horse and a pulled the dirt out. And I grew up here. I was a couple months old when we moved in, so I've been here my whole life.
Were there a lot of trees and shrubs here when you grew up here?
The yard was basically some box elder and elm around the house, and down below on the east hill was box elder, black locust, and a willow, and in between was sweet clover. The south side of the yard was just mainly sumac and weeds and stuff.
How did you get started, or how did you get interested in planting?
I wanted to become a forest ranger. I never became one, to my regret. So I made my own forest and park. Originally, the first couple years, it was trees that I planted and bushes, and it wasn't too long before, well, I have to fill in some flowers to fill this in. I wanted to make it bird friendly. I wanted bushes and flowers for the birds.
Now, do you both love all of the things, or do you kind of divide up the responsibility?
Actually, Bonnie does most all the annual stuff and the herbs and the gardening and the watering, and I do the weeding and the mowing. We have over 50 places with flowers. I keep getting crazy ideas for new shapes and things to put stuff in. They're ground level, they're raised, they're plastic, they're pots, anything that I think we can throw in here somewhere. We have rectangles, octagons, circles, squares, raised beds, a pond bed, fountain beds, plastic run as few as possible, stones. We have 1-layer, 2-layered beds. We have 4-layer beds. We have beds that are ground level.
So, do you have annual beds or perennial flower beds?
We have both. And most of the oldest beds here are perennial beds because that was what Wayne was focusing on. And then when I came along, which was about, 2.5 years ago, we started getting into more and more annuals. And so that's kind of become my area.
Do you start your own annual flowers or do you buy them in?
Generally, we buy them. I have started a few things by seed, but we we take 2 or 3 days in the spring and we drive pretty much all over the state of Minnesota with my pickup truck, and we fill the bed with annuals, and then we come back and figure out where to put them.
Like, how many different places do you visit on your swing through to buy plants?
I think every day, if we go out on a day, we'll go to maybe 6 places in a day. We go until the truck is full and then we come home. You know, every year I go around and I look at all of my containers where I know my annuals are going to go, and I think, I got to plan this year, and I start thinking about what I'm going to put in different places. Then we go and we start shopping, and I have the list, and then of course I see something that I've never seen before, and I say, I got to have that. We'll find a place for it, and we always do.
When you were talking about that you go and buy plants by the pickup load, how big is your yard? How many lots do you have here?
My dad originally had 3.5 lots and I bought 3 more, so we have 6.5 lots. So roughly 2.5 acres.
Do you have beds for sun, some for shade, or some of both?
Well, the sunny beds tend to become shady beds because of the growth of the trees. And some of the beds are partly sunny, some of them are partly shady. And so it's always kind of fun to see what's going to work where.
How many flower beds do you actually have?
Again, that's a tough one because we have over 50 places with annuals and perennials planted. If it constitutes a bed or not, I don't know what. We do have an actual flower bed. I bought one because people told me I needed a flower bed. I bought a red flower bed, an actual crib, and it's red and it's a flower bed. But yeah, we would have somewhere a regular bigger one, somewhere 30 to 40.
Do you use both annuals along in with your perennials too, or do you make the bed so that this one is kind of an annual bed and this one is kind of a perennial bed? Do you kind of tend to keep that separate, or do you kind of mix and match?
Well, I tend to think of the original beds as being perennial beds, and most of them have pretty much all perennials in them. Occasionally, when we have, especially when we have extra annuals, if we find a spot where the annual can go, it'll go there. But I have specific containers, I suppose you'd say, of various kinds and shapes and things, where I know I'm going to be putting annuals.
Do you divide your perennials sometimes and use them to move them around to new beds?
No, we have so much work to do that the time constraints in my back says, you know, you don't really want to divide, Wayne. Although when I do make one, then I have to dig sod, but no, we don't divide.
Well, it looks like you really, really love daylilies. How many different kinds of daylilies do you have?
Somewhere over 300, and we have about even 100 roughly hostas. Most all are mail order, and I want to warn people about that because daylilies come in evergreen, semi-evergreen, and dormant. I buy most of mine down south, and I don't trust the word semi-evergreen. Evergreen is what's common in Georgia, Alabama, and some of these southern states I buy from. Unfortunately, I think semi-evergreen is a marketing tool, so I'm going to start buying more dormants. I have lost a lot of money by buying plants that do not do well here.
What do those terms mean?
Well, evergreen means it doesn't go dormant. It has foliage all year. Dormant obviously goes dormant in the fall. Semi-evergreen, I think, is marketing. They do that so they can sell to northern people probably by saying, well, it might be dormant, it might be not. I don't trust the term.
When do you order your daylilies generally? Like, is it in the spring,
It's
summer?
usually in around December, January, February on the internet. And I go to sites and prices you have to be very careful on because you might see it for $5 or $20, the same daylily.
Really?
Yeah, it's whatever they can sell them for, I think. And some people, when they have new ones, they want more money. Other places that have had them a while have more of them. They'll sell them cheaper. So you really have to be price conscious.
I suppose it has to do with some of the breeding and maybe even some of the sizes of the blooms and how common they
A
are.
lot of it's how new they are, and if they only have 5 in existence and they start selling it from their place, they're going to want more money than if they've been around 10 years and everybody has them.
Do you ever have to worry about that? They will send you bulbs or send you plants, and you know, we live in Minnesota. and our soil, or it's still frozen, or our weather is just not right, do you have to be careful about that?
No, they're really pretty good. They ask you want them shipped, and I always say somewhere on the 10th to 20th of May. But you don't know what size you're getting unless you bought before. Some will send you a little tiny one, some will send you a bigger one. So it's a crapshoot until you learn the place.
What are your favorite annuals and why?
You know, this is very difficult because there are so many good ones, and there are flowers, there are trailers, there are climbers, and I have reasons for loving all of them. The trailing ones, my favorite is the vinca vine. It is elegant, it's beautiful, it will grow as long as you want it to. You can put it in a hanging basket 8 feet up and it will grow all the way to the ground. Climbers, I love the cardinal vine, I love morning glories, and I also use scarlet runner beans because they put out beautiful little red flowers that hummingbirds like. And then I like spreaders. I'm getting more interested in spreaders. This year I bought spreading moss roses, and they're flowering very beautifully, especially when the sun comes out. They flower very generously.
How about you, Wayne?
One of my favorites is the annual grass. It's a hybrid penstamen called First Night, and there's others that look like it, but it'll get 4 to 6 feet high. It's just a masterpiece plant, and it's unbelievable. It's an annual. It'll grow that big and give you that color. It does not flower, but the flowers would be distracting. Another one that I like is the hibiscus, but we have trouble wintering them. But every year, if we have to, we'll replace them. But we can't be without our hibiscus. We love those. Then there's also the perennial, the Japanese Aurelia. It gives you a kind of a yellow lime color. It looks like a bush in the summer. And it's something new. Last few years it's come out, and I like that a lot. It'd be great with that grass. But that might need a little bit of shade because I think it burns a little bit in full sun, that Aurelia.
Well, that was my next question. Okay, I found out which annuals you like, and now there's a perennial you like. So what other are some of your favorite perennials? Obviously, lilies and daylilies.
Daylilies, hostas.
Monardas, we like monardas. We like cone flowers. He mentioned hibiscus. We have quite a few really spectacular hibiscus here. I've always loved columbines. They've been difficult to grow, but they're doing very well here.
A lot of the plants that you've mentioned are wonderful for the birds and the butterflies too, so I bet you get quite a few little visitors here in your yard to enjoy them.
We do, and in fact, one of our favorite perennials, I should say, is Asclepias, which is the milkweed, various kinds of milkweed. So we encourage the butterflies to come, and birds.
How do you water all of this?
Well, that's mostly my job, and that's almost a full-time job. I water by hand within a reasonable distance of the house and the hose. We have 2 faucets around the house. But then for the more distant beds, I have to take hoses down there, and we have sprinklers, and so we can run 2 at a time. But often what I'll do is I've got my wonderful little garden tractor and a cart, and I just fill it up with buckets and watering cans, and I just drive around and water that way.
How do you weed all of this?
By hand.
If I had a penny for every weed I pulled in 35 years, I would be as rich as Bill Gates.
We'd use a lot of mulch.
No, there's not plastic under these plants.
No, there isn't.
Do you have trouble with critters too? Because I know you're fairly close to the water, but what kind of pests do you have?
Squirrels. We had a lot of problems with squirrels this year in particular, sitting on a lot of our plants. So we had to do something about it.
43 gray squirrels, 2 red squirrels, 2 rabbits, 1 woodchuck, 2 skunks, 27 chipmunks in 2 weeks, except for the chipmunks.
All live trapped.
All live trapped, except unfortunately the skunks.
Okay. Oh
They're hard
my
to move.
word. In 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks.
Oh my. Like, do you have deer and stuff that come in too?
No, but as far as weeds, we have a lot of buckthorn, we have box elder, we have basswood.
Little trees growing around because we have
all
big
over.
trees.
I weed more trees than I do weeds, except for Creeping Charlie. We don't weed him anymore. He owns the hollow of our property. We call him Leaping Charlie. He doesn't creep in our yard.
Okay.
One of the things we really enjoy is incorporating statues and little figurines and that kind of thing. And we also have 3 water elements. I'd like to go and show you a very special one.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I have a question. I need to replace a shrub under a low overhang. What do you recommend?
Well, there's lots and lots of options out there. I really encourage people to seek a lot of diversity in the landscape. But to pick a few of my favorites, one of them is this 9-bark here. There's many different cultivars, but some of them are low-growing cultivars of 9-bark. Purple foliage on this one in particular, nice flowers, good for wildlife. Some of my other favorites, Diverilla lanicera, or dwarf bush honeysuckle. It's a low-growing, kind of a ground cover type plant, very hardy, great for wildlife, nice fall color. Some of the other plants that I really like, hydrangeas. There's lots of different hydrangeas out there. We have a fabulous hydrangea evaluation planting that one of the series is going to be featuring. Many different cultivars of hydrangeas. And then don't just limit yourself to the woody plants necessarily either. Think about a lot of diversity, and ornamental grasses can function very nicely in a foundation planting as a shrub in the landscape. Various heights, everything from the low-growing little blue stem all the way up to something that can get to be 5-6 feet tall, like big blue stem or Indian grass or switchgrass. So don't just limit yourself to the woody plant material.
Ask the Arboretum Experts has been brought to you by the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum in Chanhassen, dedicated to enriching lives through the appreciation and knowledge of plants.
One day I walked into a local store and I saw this fountain, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was one of the most beautiful things I think I'd ever seen. Wayne and I got married about 2.5 years ago, and my twin sister Heather wanted to buy us a wedding gift. And I asked her if she would buy this for us, and she did. So after that, we've always called this the Heather bed. She passed away in April of this year. And so this is a very special area for us. These plants are actually heather plants. We just happened to find them this year for the first time ever. And so that's why this is a very important part of our yard.
I can sure understand that. What a beautiful story and remembrance. And I'll bet every time you're out here, you think of her too.
Always.
How do you take care of this in the fall to protect it over the winter?
All we do for the 2 fountains is we drain them and we cover them with a tarp. I put the motor up a little bit from a couple inches off the water. There's usually an inch of water in the bottom I can't scoop out. That's all we do with those. The pond's a lot more difficult. That one I drain and I have to sweep clean, totally drain, and then I have to paint everything in the spring. I can refill it after I've drained it a second time from winter snow. So that's a lot more work than this, the fountain.
This is a beautiful water feature, and I can understand why you enjoy it so much. Would you be willing to show us some of your favorite annual and perennial beds too?
Absolutely, I thought you'd never ask.
Mary, this is what we call the dwarf bed. Originally there were 2 Colorado blue spruce, which are not meant for the Midwest. We'd limb them up about 10 feet, and they had more needle disease going up. Eventually you're not getting anything but limbed up tree. We decided we could do a lot better, so we decided to make what we call a dwarf bed, where we're going to incorporate dwarf evergreens and add some grasses for height. And it expanded to adding, after the Morris Arboretum, we saw the Benaries, and we fell in love with the zinnias, so we incorporated those with nets around to keep them from falling. And then we also had to have a couple other small plants, so we have a small hydrangea and a St. John's wort in here now. But we think this adds a lot more than those 2 slowly dying Colorado blue spruce.
I understand there's even a plant named after Bonnie here in this bed.
Yes, behind Bonnie is a plant named Beresford from the town of Beresford, South Dakota, which got its name from a Beresford, obviously, probably her relative. And I saw it on the internet, and I told Bonnie, I have to buy that one, and she agreed to have that one. So we now have Beresford in the flower bed. We incorporated the annual grass that I talked about that I love so much. The first night, I think that adds a lot, even though it's an annual. We have mostly perennial grasses in here otherwise.
So this bed has done a lot better than those trees that you had to take out.
This is one of my favorite spots. I think when you look out from our bedroom window, this is a focal point to see this beauty. And when the Benaries start blooming and the grasses start getting their seed heads on and blowing in the wind, I love this spot.
And I really like the zinnias too, because you can cut those and they make a beautiful cut flower in the house too.
And we owe that to the Morris Arboretum. That's where we first saw them and fell in love with them.
Okay.
And I plant those as seeds.
Oh, you do? Okay. When do you plant them then?
In May. I empty a packet of seeds in each side of each circle and I walk away. Put a little dust over the top and leave them alone. We water the bed a lot. So these are annual zinnias.
Well, obviously this bed takes a lot of sun. Let's see one of your shade beds.
Great, we have one down below by a great swing that we bought to sit in and enjoy it.
I absolutely love this shade bed because there are so many different heights and textures of plants in here, and a lot that I'm really not that familiar with. Now, is that a chelone or a turtle head?
That is a white chelone or turtle head that I mistakenly didn't know was going to be in such shade and planted in the wrong spot. It doesn't flower, but it grows quite well.
So it actually can grow in the shade too, but like you said, won't
Yeah,
flower
you lose
quite
the
as much.
flower if you get too shaded on some plants. The other one, the purple one down here, is also too shaded, but it's a little more sun and it really does better.
Okay. There is also two plants here that have beautiful berries. One is white, has got white berries, and one has got red berries. What are those?
Those are Actea. They are poisonous, but you shouldn't be eating them. The white one is Alba and the red one is Rubra, and they grow in the wild in Minnesota.
The Alba, do they sometimes call that doll's eyes because of
Yes.
the white berries?
With a
the
black spot, has a black spot in it. And that's behind her here, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then there's a lot of times that people will ask me, what is ligularia? But you have some of those here in this
We
bed.
have 5 or 6 different ligularia, and they come in different shaped leaves and textures, which this is a texture bed, obviously not for color. Unfortunately, this bed also has a lot of slugs, and they do like ligularia, especially the round leaf ones.
So then what do? Do they
Eat holes in them,
Oh,
just like they do hostas.
okay. So
Yeah.
they'll eat holes. Generally, that won't kill them.
Oh no, it just makes them unsightly. From a distance, they're fine.
Okay. Do you do anything to try to control the slugs?
We try to keep the slugs down on the hostas. We use Sluggo, but unfortunately we have a lot of hostas and a lot of things to do. And this time of year, even though we do that, the slugs are going to eventually win. These blocks, for instance, will have thousands of slugs hiding in these blocks that you don't see till you move a block, and then you see how many slugs you really do own.
Yes, they do tend to like it where it's dark and moist. Don't
They love this moist hollow and this rich, lots of nice plants from the Visit. Yeah.
I've heard that some people will even take and put a board down and let them crawl under there, and then they'll lift the board and kind of...
They will do that. They'll crawl under the board, but you know, you'd have to have a lot of boards down here, I'm afraid. It's better to move a bunch of blocks.
And then I've also heard that you can take and put beer in,
Yeah.
in a dish and put it down, but
What a waste of beer. But if you want to go fishing and need slugs, come and visit us. I'll let you move some blocks and get slugs for fishing. We also have Brunera down here that most people have trouble wintering in. It's nothing I do special. They just likes this soil down in this hollow that's been here for thousands of years. So we are actually able to winter Brunera fairly well.
well, I was thinking that is a tough one for some people to overwinter.
It'd be tough for me too if I didn't have this soil sitting here for me.
Well, you've showed us so many beautiful things, sun, shade. Anything else?
Well, I have vegetables, and particularly up on the deck, I have an herb bed that I'd like to show you. Well, Mary, this is my herb garden, and I would not be without it. These beds are the very first thing that Wayne ever built for me, and I love them because they're raised, they're in the sun. The kitchen is right around the corner here, and I can come out here and pick fresh herbs to put in any dish that I want. Down there at the far end, those are my salad greens. So I just come out at lunchtime and I just graze. And I just love having this, the convenience of it here. It gets quite hot, but we also have an awning if I need to open that up. These beds also have a drainage system that Wayne put in that you'll want to have a look at. So I can water it as much as I want to, and we don't have any problems with water on the deck. It simply drains out into the garden.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. When we get a 2-inch rain, do you have to worry about the plants drowning?
No, actually I don't, because it's very well drained.
Well, it's so easy and convenient. I bet you use these all the time.
All the time, every day.
Wow. I think that I need to have Wayne come to my place and build me some too.
I think you would.
Bonnie, speaking of Wayne, how about if we go match up with him?
I think we should do that. Let's go find him.
Wayne, I love the herb planters that you built for Bonnie. And you know, I think she said that that was part of why she married you.
That was a big reason, but the real reason is when I saw this place, looked around and seen what he had done with 35 years of his life, I thought that speaks volumes for a man. And the rest is history.
Well, you two really have built a wonderland here.
Well, we really enjoyed having you people here today, and we would certainly enjoy anybody who wants to come and see this property. We welcome guests at all times without shovels.
Thank you so much for letting us come to visit.
Thank you for coming. We love sharing what we love with other people.
It's more fun when people see what we have, not just us.
Funding for Prairie Yard & Garden is provided in part by Heartland Motor Company, providing service for over 30 years in the heart of truck country. Heartland Motor Company, we have your best interest at heart. Farmers Mutual Telephone Company and Federated Telephone Cooperative, proud to be powering ASERA. Mark and Margaret Yakel Julien, in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. Shalom Hill Farm, shalomhill.org. Diamond Willow Advanced Care Assisted Living, providing custom homes with smaller settings designed especially for high care needs.